What's happening, fight fans? Welcome back to episode 11 of the MMA Mindset podcast. On my own today for the first time since the first episode. I know I said I'd be doing these on my own quite a few times, but people have just been asking to come on, or they've been saying yes to coming on. So I've not felt the need to do it by myself. So yeah, first episode in 10 of it being on my own, but back with kind of the bread and butter of this channel, another regional roundup. So yesterday I got to attend BMF MMA 6, the first BMF event that I've actually attended. Fantastic event. Connor did a really good job at setting everything up there. The cage looked amazing. It was a new cage, borrowed from some of the guys in Liverpool who were going to be setting up Elite Combat League, but that's been postponed. I was speaking to them about it, and they said they've got some big news coming soon. But yeah, fantastic event. Some K1 fights, 4-ounce boxing fights, and then obviously MMA fights for the majority of it. But I just want to say a massive thank you for them to having me along, being so hospitable, and for putting on such a great card. Obviously, just like I know it's been a while since we've done a regional roundup, just going to go through the card, talk about all the fights. I might miss a few because there was 20 odd fights, so I'm not sure I remember them all. I've written most of them down, but if I forget, I am ever so sorry. But like I said, there's a lot to kind of go through, and then at the end we'll give the awards out. Fight of the night, by the way, I'm just going to let you know it was one of the best fights I've ever seen. It was unbelievable, and to witness it live was incredible. But I'll get onto that. I'll get onto that later. Just want to say as well, just before we get into it, thank you so much for the response that I've had. Especially on the Fighter Origins, which they don't go out to as many people because I'm not talking about as many people. To have that kind of response is kind of keeping me going and keeping me motivated. I've got a logo getting designed, which is going to like brighten up the channel. Well, not brighten it up, but make it look more professional. I've redone all the overlays, all the thumbnails. They're going to be coming out probably in August, so keep out for that. And then later on in the week, I think Wednesday or Thursday, got another Fighter Origins with Nathan Fletcher, and many people's number one contender for the bantamweight title in Cage Warriors. So yeah, that'll be a good one. Nathan's a spot on bloke, and I'm sure we'll have lots to speak about. But without further ado, let's just get into the card. Like I said, loads of finishes, loads of early finishes, and loads of fantastic fights. And we started off with Katrina Ranjanova, and she fought a lady from Spain by the name of Aquila. And this fight kind of started how it ended. Ended in the second round. Katrina won via like a slam and then follow up strikes. And it kind of was the same in the first round. She secured position and kind of dominated. It could have been stopped in the first, but she got to position in the second and dominated from there out. She looked really physically impressive, quite dominant over her opponent, and looked as if she really belonged in there and had a great time. Got to speak to her after, and she was happy with her performance. She didn't kind of know what to expect from her opponent. I don't think many people did, but no, she looks absolutely fantastic in that fight. Next up, we had Brandon Elwell, who got a finish in, I think it was the quickest finish of BMF history, about 9 seconds in, came in, got the clinch, picked him up, slammed him down on his head, and then followed up with strikes. I can't actually remember his opponent's name, I'm sorry, because it wasn't on the print out of the card. So yeah, I'm really sorry that I can't remember the opponent's name. Just bad luck. The way he landed from that slam was brutal. But yeah, Brandon looked great, and he was so hyped up after. And when I spoke to him, he was super impressed with how quickly he got it done. And BMF put out a great video so quickly after the fight of the finish, and not just like a video from the pay-per-view. It was a professionally shot like video that looked fantastic and was like edited, and that was great. So go check that out on their socials. But yeah, well done to Brandon Elwell. That was an early contender for knockout of the night, just specifically for how quick it was. And I don't think anyone expected that, but it was two two quite similar finishes to start the card. Katrina slam follow-up strikes, finish her on the floor, and then Brandon slam follow-up strikes and finish him on the floor. So yeah, two really, really impressive finishes to start the card, and that kind of set the tone for the rest of the night. Moving on to the first K1 fight of the night, we had Michael Walters versus Ben Singleton. This was a fantastic fight, and it was kind of a kicker versus a puncher scenario. Michael had some great kicks, some spinning, some jumping, spinning back kicks that were landing, but he did seem to kind of tire himself out during the course of that fight. Whereas Ben kept everything tight, everything safe, and was landing with the hands, and Michael didn't really seem to have any answer for the hands, especially when it got into the later rounds, and maybe those high energy jumping spin kicks were kind of taking their toll on his body, and then Ben got the unanimous decision victory. One of the fight of the night contenders straight there. So we had a knockout of the night contender and a fight of the night contender within the first three fights, and that kind of made me really excited for the rest of the card. So yeah, well done to both men there. They put on a fantastic fight. And like I said, even though Ben went away with the win, it kind of takes two to tango. So yeah, that was a fantastic fight, and one that if you get the chance to watch it back, you should definitely go and do that. Moving on to this was a really weird one because I was still interviewing Ben and I didn't quite see what happened, but I managed to speak to a commissioner and they kind of told me what had happened. So the fight started, and Abby came in with what looked like two leg kicks, inside leg kicks. Like from what her opponent was saying when she came upstairs, TJ Reeves, was that it wasn't hitting the leg, it was hitting elsewhere, and she was unable to continue. It's unfortunate that it ended that way. Like I said, I didn't see it, so I can't really comment on that too much. It's just one of them. It's the fight game. It happens on both sides of the sport. Groin shots happen on both sides of the sport, and I don't know if it was. I think people were quite confident, and the referee was quite confident that it was an inside leg kick. So Abby got the first round TKO finish, and yeah, I'm sure she'll want to get back in the cage to kind of put on a display that's not going to be as controversial as I should say. So no, and then we moved on to one of the fights that I was really excited for, Jack Terry versus Jacob Halota. I've always picked Jack Terry as a very, very talented fighter, and Jacob looked it as well. And this was a very, very mature performance by Jack. It was he showed great grappling. What I kind of spoke to him about after was, did his coaches say after the second round leading into the third, look, go out there and grapple? Because I think it was one round apiece heading into that third round, and then Jack came out in that third round, got the position, got him on the floor, and just kind of controlled the round from there, which is I think what ultimately won him the fight. I think that kind of shows a lot of maturity from someone who's only a few fights into into their amateur career, and to pick up a win after suffering a loss in his last fight. He goes 2-1 now, but I think there's a lot to look out for with this Jack Terry lad. He's a good fighter, and he's got a lot of talent, and if he can keep listening to his coaches like that and kind of being a sponge to that information, that's only going to go well, especially at the amateur level, because that's all what it's about. It's about learning. So no, he looked absolutely fantastic. So yeah, impressed with that fight. Moving on to that was the early prelims. Moving on to the prelims, we had Mohammed Zaman versus Yusuf Whitelaw. This was a super close fight, split decision win for Yusuf, and it was just a grappling heaven. They were both reversing positions, grappling, but I think Yusuf just was a little bit stronger on top, and I think he kind of was able to control position a little bit better, and did a little bit more with his top control. I think he was a little bit surprised it was a split decision, because I think he felt he did enough to get the unanimous, but I think it was closer maybe to a split then a unanimous. But Yusuf looked great. He looked a lot a lot stronger, a lot thicker set. So I think that kind of helped in the grappling exchanges because he was heavier on top. But yeah, fantastic fight for the bantamweights in that one. Um, Moving on to another fight, another MMA contest: Ryan Bubb versus Xander Jowett. Ryan Bubb looked fantastic in this in this fight. He was a dominant display, and his opponent was throwing up some mad submissions as well. He threw up a go-go platter in the first round that I thought he was going to get, so that was crazy. He was throwing heel hooks, triangles, inverted triangles up. But yeah, Ryan was just able to kind of fight through these fight through these positions, and ultimately he got the unanimous decision victory. And like I said, he looked great. I think I'm quite excited to see what Ryan does. He's physically in great shape. He was a good talker, and like I said, more than that, what we're all here to do. He was a good fighter, and he looked like he was very comfortable wherever the fight took place. I think he said he wanted to show his standing a little bit more. I was surprised he was engaging in the grappling with Xander because of these mad submissions he was throwing up. But it just shows that he was confident enough to know that he could get through those submissions and still control the fight. So yeah, well done to Ryan there. Like I said, fantastic fight. Moving on to the first submission of the night, I was getting quite worried for submission of the night by this point because normally you've got quite a few submissions on the regional scene. That's kind of where a lot of your finishes come because of especially at amateur level with those big gloves. You don't see too many knockouts, so a lot of it goes to the grappling and then submissions. But yeah, this was the first submission of the night. Aaron Oliphant versus Lewis McAvoy. Great rear naked choke by Aaron. It was back and forth until that point as well, and he really worked well for the submission in the second round. But yeah, back and forth to that point, it was kind of hard to keep a close look on who was who because they were both wearing like pretty much the same color white shorts. And I was at the Metrodome, you sat on a like a balcony area at the top looking down, so it was quite difficult to see who was who. But yeah, Aaron looked fantastic. But both guys did, to be fair. But it was just Aaron that worked hard for that submission in the second round. Got the rear naked choke, and he was over the moon with that one. So yeah, well done to Aaron. Next fight, Phil Zhu versus Charlie Ash. Charlie had that adrenaline dump at the end of the fight. I didn't get to speak to him straight away because he had to go take care of some business. But this was a grueler, absolute mad fight. Both men were putting everything out there, 110% effort on both sides. So I know obviously one man has to lose, but I don't think either of them can kind of walk out of that and be ashamed of the performance that they put on. Unanimous decision victory for Charlie Ash. I think Charlie was quite surprised, as was a lot of people there, as Phil was a traditional striker and Charlie was the more grapple heavy guy. And Phil came out wanting to grapple, and I was a bit confused by that. And I think maybe a couple of his team were a little bit confused as to why he came out and wanted to grapple. I don't know if that was the game plan from the coaches, was to maybe throw something different. But I think Charlie was more than happy to engage in the grappling. But it was a really back and forth close contest. But yeah, Charlie kind of ended up taking over and winning a lot of the exchanges there. So yeah, well done to him. He looks like he could be a really good talent. Sorry. There just seems to be there was so much grappling in this on this card, but not loads and loads of submissions, which was a bit weird. But there was a lot of amazing grappling sequences, and that kind of takes into the next fight with Stevie Guest versus Joe Elias. But Joe was just dominant with the grappling in this fight. He was super happy with his performance, and I think he looked great. It was a like I said, it was a tough fight. Stevie was looked like he matched him well on physicality, but Joe just kind of took over with the grappling and didn't really let him get any offense off. So yes, but well done to Joe. Like I said, this just kind of added to the level of amazing fights that we saw that evening. Next up, we had a fight that I was personally really excited for. It was Charlotte Brown versus Simone Abley. Fantastic fight, and Charlotte's really experienced. Simone's kind of up and coming. She's got a lot of hype behind her. Amazing taekwondo background. I'll post a video on the MMA Mindset Twitter, or not Twitter, Instagram, of of the video that I took of her in the changing rooms, kicking pads. I've never seen anything like it. I was sat outside and I had to go. I was like, someone firing a gun in there. I went in there and it was unbelievable. The power she was generating in those kicks and the speed, the flexibility and the precision was incredible. And I was kind of expecting to see that in the first couple of minutes, but she came out and she said to me that she kind of froze in the first round. I think it just looked like she was quite patient, and I said it was a mature performance because it did come out there and was patient, and then lifted her up with a guillotine at the end of the first round. That I feel like if it would have went about another 10 seconds, she'd have got a submission victory. And then did kind of control the fight, looked a lot stronger than Charlotte did. Um, and then landed a nasty spinning back kick to the face in the last like 10 seconds. And I spoke to some of her corner team and they were like, I don't know, I shouldn't just do that in the first like 30 seconds, but it's apples and oranges. She got the win, and I think she looked great. Really excited to see what Simone does moving forward in her career, because I think she's got a potential. A ceiling is sky high, and she's from a really good gym there at TFT. A lot of those guys, I've had a lot of those guys on the podcast. Are going to go up and see them guys when Rise and Conquer's on. So yeah, hopefully get to see Simone at Rise and Conquer and a few of the other guys there. But like I said, she's got some potential there, and to get that win over her experienced opponent and to get the 15 minutes cage time is basically what it's about at the amateur level, garnering that experience and developing yourself as a fighter and learning things about yourself ultimately. So yeah, that was a fantastic fight. Next, we had Patrick Berry versus Louis Barker. Unanimous decision for Patrick Berry, and it was a K1 fight that was possibly the fight of the night until the main event happened. I had it down here. Fight of the night, absolute war. These guys left everything in the cage. Neither of them should be ashamed of that whatsoever. I even said to Patrick after I interviewed him, I said it's a shame that you have to get a loss on your record there, but well, not obviously Patrick, but Louis had to get a loss on his record there because those two just left every single part of them in the cage. And to do that at an amateur level, when you're not necessarily even getting paid for it, it just kind of shows what these guys are all about. They're just natural fighters. So yeah, this was back and forth. Both men had their moments. It just looked like Patrick was maybe landing a little bit heavier and wearing on him a little bit more. So yeah, that was a great fight, and that kind of ended the prelims on such a high note and got everyone buzzed for the main card. And what a main card it was, top to bottom. I was so excited for this main card. 2 pro titles, 3 amateur titles, and a 4-ounce boxing title. It was incredible, and it started off with Kyle Parton versus Sam Halliday. That was for the 4-ounce boxing title. Never seen 4-ounce boxing before, and it was a bit crazy to watch. And it's always dangerous with the 4-ounce gloves, especially just to be boxing, because you always feel like someone's gonna go to sleep. And yeah, no one actually went to sleep in the fight, but there was a few knockdowns. There was a lot of back and forth in this fight, and Sam Halliday picked up the unanimous decision victory. I think even though he said he was a bit unhappy with his cardio, I think his cardio kind of held up a little bit better than Kyle's did. And he was just, especially in the later rounds, he was just landing more, and what he was landing seemed to be a bit more effective. He was getting in Kyle's face because Kyle was the longer fighter. Sam was getting in his face, making it dirty for him, making it difficult, grinding on him, and like I said, got the unanimous decision victory, and got the belt, which he was over the moon for. Sam's got loads of experience. He's fought Sam Creasy, Aaron Abbey, like some of the best guys in the UK. He's fought them. So yeah, this was a bit of a cherry on the cake, cherry on the icing on the cake, cherry on the cake, cherry on the icing on the cake for Sam Holliday to get the belt. So yes, well done to Sam. Moving on to some of the bigger lads, Luke Kerrison versus Max Barnett. This was a guy that Combat Sports UK, the company I work for, had spoke to Max before the fight, and Max 1-3 coming into his fight, but it doesn't really tell the whole story. If you look at his record, he's fought some really high level undefeated guys, and he doesn't really turn anyone down. And he said that he was going to run through Luke, and that's exactly what he did, and it was a nasty knockout. He came out swinging, so I kind of knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to shut the lights out early and make a statement and say that his record is deceiving, and he's not going to fuck about with these guys who they're putting him against because they think that maybe his record's a little bit misleading, and he just landed this overhand right, and the referee should have stopped it about 3-4 ground strikes before he did, because Luke was out and he didn't need to take that many shots, but well done to Max. You did exactly what you said you were going to do. He was super hyped after. He was really happy with how it went, and he says that he's got a kick off from here, and it's given him a lot of confidence moving into his next few bouts. And I think just knowing that you've got that power is kind of a big confidence builder, knowing that you can shut someone's lights out with one shot, especially with those, like I said earlier, with those big gloves on. It kind of it gives you a lot of confidence moving into a fight. So looking forward to seeing what Max can do. Super imposing physical guy, strong bloke, good, like I said, I've seen before, good talker, which is kind of a good way to be at this level, because you can get eyes on you, and with finishes like that, he's going to get eyes on him anyway. So yeah, well done, Max. That was a fantastic fight. Moving on to one of the biggest crowds of people that I've seen on the amateur level, especially for someone who's only going into their second fight. Mason Yarrow versus Jackson O'Neill. Mason had a lot of people there, and he did them justice. Got the rear naked choke in the first round. Looked amazing. Looked dominant. Super composed. I saw him fight previously at his first round finish against Josh Dean, and that was a fantastic performance as well. So this kid's special, and I'll go out on a limb now. Have my little moment here. I've got one other little moment that I'm going to have later on in the episode. But Mason Yarrow is going to be a problem. He's going to be an issue for a lot of these lightweights, because he's super long, super athletic, really good striker, really good grappler, and yeah, it's all about being well rounded. I think at this amateur level, because I think a few people come in the amateur level as specialists in certain disciplines. It kind of leaves them open to getting counteracted with their weakness. Doesn't really look like Mason has too many weaknesses, so I either get pie in my face or I look like a genius. But I think Mason's going to be a big problem in the in the UK scene. I think he might struggle to get fights moving forward. Hopefully he doesn't, because I hate it when it's like that. There's too many people in this sport who struggle to get fights just because people don't want to tarnish their records or really step up to a challenge. So yeah, hopefully, like I said, he gets fights pretty easily. But yeah, look out for the name Mason Yarrow in the future. Moving on, we had in the flyweight title, I almost forgot this one. I didn't write this one down. Ali Soheki versus Ryan Parkin. Ryan got this by unanimous decision. It was a super close fight. Like I said, grappling again, back and forward with the grappling. Both men look fantastic, but Ryan got the victory to come out with the I think it was unanimous. Can't remember if it was split or unanimous. But after I spoke to him, he said that he was looking on the bantamweight title, because kind of I think he'd fought Kudrat before and lost, and he was kind of wanting to get that back, maybe go to like a double champ status. But yeah, well done to Ryan to get in that belt. He looked phenomenal in there and put on a fantastic display. And cardio held up over, so it should for these guys, but cardio held up over the 5 rounds. Moving on to the amateur bantamweight title, Logan McGonigal versus Kudrat Safi, two of the best bantamweight amateurs in the UK at the moment, and they put on a fantastic display. And I don't think either men can be ashamed of their performance. I've said that a lot today, but there was just so many good fights and back and forward fights. But yeah, Kudrat just he got the victory by split decision. He was pretty pissed off that it was a split decision because he thinks that he was pretty dominant, and I can kind of see how he means by that. I think he did have the better and the lion's share of the fight. But like I said, these two guys are fantastic fighters, and they're both going to probably make some noise on the pro scene as well. I asked Kudrat if he was going to be making his pro debut soon. He said he's going to get a couple more under his belt and then move up to that to move up to the next level. But he looked fantastic, and not taking anything away from Logan as well. He looked great too. But it's just a fight game. Obviously, someone's got to come out with the hand raised, and some have to go home disappointed, unfortunately. Moving on to my second little, like I did with Mason Yarrow, my second little drop back to what I could look back at in a few years' time and kind of feel a little bit pleased with myself was the Jamal Raja versus Oliver Tero fight. This is a fight I picked out straight off the bat as soon as it got announced, because it's two of the best guys in the UK, not just at featherweight, but at just any sort of amateur level. These guys are fantastic, and they put on a fantastic display. And what impressed me about this fight was Oliver got dropped in, I think it was the second round, and dropped hard. And I thought it could have been over there, but he recovered so quickly and then went on to win the remaining third, fourth, and fifth round, and looked absolutely fantastic. He is going to be a champion in one of the either Cage Warriors, PFL, Bellator, UFC in the next 5, 6, 7 years. He's absolutely fantastic. Comes from ASW Manchester, which is a brilliant gym as well. So yeah, keep an eye out for that guy. Him, Oliver Tero, Mason Yarrow are two guys that I picked from this card who I think are going to be something special moving in the future. I think Oliver's kind of at that level now where there's not too much left for him. I think the last 3 fights that he's had, he's beat obviously Jamal Raja now, who's one of the top guys in the at the amateur level. Started off on the streak with Aaron Givens, who I've had on Fighter Origins, and Aaron's a beast and one of the most experienced amateurs in the UK. And Mateus Erkra beat them all and did it handily. So yeah, he looked fantastic, and I'm excited to see where Oliver's career goes. And unfortunately, I didn't get to speak to him after because I think he had a bit of an issue with his leg, and he went down to see his friends and family, which is understandable. Moving on to the pro fights of the evening, 2 fantastic pro fights. Both guys, all 4 competitors had a plethora of experience, some of the most experienced guys on the regional scene. First pro fight, flyweight title, which was Kirusa Hota versus Danny Missing. Now, these guys have fought before, and Kiru got the victory by 3rd round stoppage. And I thought this kind of was going to go a little bit further, but Sahota came out and clocked Danny on the top of his on the top of his head, knocked his equilibrium, and Danny fell, and it looked like he'd recovered pretty quickly. And I did speak to him after this fight because I thought it was maybe a little bit of a dodgy stoppage, but he said he doesn't blame the referee at all. And this is just what Danny's like. He's a spot on geezer. He doesn't make any excuses. He takes everything on the chin, and like you say, just super mature guy, and I've got nothing but respect for him. And I'll have him on an episode of Fighter Origins because he's got a fantastic story. So whenever we get that sorted, we'll I'm sure that'll be a fantastic episode. But yeah, Sahota does what he does best. He's gone 10-2 now, 10-2 now at the in the pro scene, which is an amazing achievement, and should kind of be maybe be looking for those looking up for those big contracts now on these big oh, sorry, these big shows. I think he fought on Cage Warriors and unfortunately lost. But to bounce back against Danny Misson as well, who was in the form of his career as well, three wins on the bounce, and then fighting for a title. He looked great against Danny, but we'll see where Danny goes. He's got not got an ounce of quitting him, that guy, and I'm sure he'll be back. And I can't wait to see him fight again because I know he can make a much better account of himself than he did that night. Now moving on to what was quite possibly the greatest fight I've ever seen live in my entire life. And I know I do this all the time, recency bias, all this sort of stuff, but this was truly incredible. Harry Davies versus Oscar Owensworth. Harry had that fantastic knockout that went viral on FCC 34 that me and Cal spoke about. And Oscar fought on PFL and put on a fight of the night performance. And when I spoke to him pre-fight, we were kind of expecting another fight of the night performance, but I didn't expect this. It was incredible. And I think a lot of people thought that Oscar was just going to come in there and run through Harry. I know Oscar wasn't underestimating Harry whatsoever because Harry's a super experienced guy, really tough guy. You're not going to put this guy away easy, especially I know like obviously he had that Shamrock fight that finished in like the first 10 seconds, but that shit can happen. Harry's not an easy guy to put away. And if you don't put him away in that first round, he's going to come at you. And he was throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Oscar. He broke Oscar's jaw in maybe the first or second round, dropped him. I thought he'd finished him there and there. Oscar was throwing knees to the head, elbows to the head. Now Harry looked like a Van Gogh painting at the end of it. He blood all over, facial features all a mess. But it was a doctor stoppage in the end at the end of the third round. I think Harry could have kept going, but I understand the safety of the fighters is kind of what the doctors look at. They don't give a shit if the fans are having a fantastic time watching this fight, and if the fighter thinks, nah, I can do it, I can do 10 more minutes, because I think Harry did need to go to hospital. Don't know if he did. Spoke to him after, took a picture with him because I've got nothing but respect for that bloke. But yeah, Oscar got it done just through a lot of knees, a lot of elbows, and just causing a lot of damage on Harry. I think Harry's got quite a bit of scar tissue, and that doesn't help. I think I'm going to name him the Nate Diaz of UK MMA because he just comes in there, goes to war every time, and puts on these unbelievable fights. But yeah, this was just one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life, and I've been to uh, thousands of fights, maybe thousands of fights, and there's nothing quite like seeing an absolute barn burner. I don't think there was really. I think there was a little bit of grappling when Oscar took him down, but Harry just stood up. Like it was literally just like a Derek Lewis kind of. I'm just going to stand up now. This was an amazing fight, and if you get a chance to watch this fight back, go watch it because you'll never see anything like it. And it's like I said, just a shame it ended how it did. I think Oscar's gone for surgery now on the jaw, so I didn't get to speak to him after because I wasn't going to put him through speaking to me when he's got that sort of injury. But no, well done to both men. It's like I said, with a lot of these fights, I've said it. It's a shame it had to have a loser, but it's a fight game and that's what has to happen. But no, well done to both men. And moving on to the MMA Mindset Night Awards, MMA Mindset Fight Night Awards. Doesn't really have a name, just the MMA Mindset Awards. Just get the easy one out of the way. Fight of the night was Harry Davies versus Oscar Owensworth. Like I said, I've just spoke about it in detail there. Unbelievable. Never seen anything like it. These two, I'd watch them fight every single weekend for the rest of my life, and I'd be perfectly happy with that. So yeah, well done to both of those guys. Knockout of the night. This was a bit more of a difficult. Well, actually, I just want to say there was a couple of fights that I just kind of want to give a shout out for fight of the night. The Ben Singleton versus Michael Walters fight. That was a fantastic fight. So yeah, well done to both of those guys. And it was the Patrick Berry versus Louis Barker fight as well. Well done to both of them guys. They both could have, and any other night where the main event doesn't deliver how this one did, they those guys both could have snatched that. But unfortunately, like I said, they've just kind of been outranked by two of the pros at the top of the card. So yeah, knockout of the night, as I was saying. Really close one. It could have gone to Brandon Elwell just for the 9 second knockout. Um, Unfortunately, I'm going to have to give this to, well, I say not unfortunately, but I'm going to have to give this to Max Barnett because of kind of what he called pre-fight. He said he was going to run through him, and that is exactly how I would describe that is he did run through him and made it look so easy, and it was he shut him out with the one shot, whereas I think what did a lot of the damage with the Brandon Elwell fight was the slam, whereas Max it was the overhand right and the subsequent follow-up strikes, but I think he was already out by that point anyway. But no, well done Max on that, and yeah, looking forward to seeing how your career progresses. Submission of the night was really difficult because there wasn't any wild submissions in terms of there wasn't any inverted triangles, heel hooks, knee bars, anaconda chokes. I think it was pretty much all rear naked chokes. But this one's going to go to Mason Yarrow for me. Just of how quick and slick it was. It was beautiful straight off the bat. Looked super impressive, and I think people were thinking he was just a striker, and he came out there and kind of shut up quite a few people, and got that rear naked choke victory, and looked amazing doing it. So yeah, like I said, I've spoken about Mason quite a lot this episode, so I won't go on too much. But yeah, those are my three awards, and I'll get them out on graphics. And yeah, just well done to those guys because I think they really deserve that. And I know it's not really much coming from me, but I hope this kind of does make them a little bit happy that they're getting some recognition for the kind of fights that they're putting on. But yeah, that was the card. Like I said, fantastic card, amazing night of fights, and I was really privileged. It's privileged to be there. The next show is October the 7th. I'm going to be there again, definitely, because like I said, they've won me over. These guys have come out of nowhere. Promotion of the year 2022, and it's clear to see why they're super talented. Yeah, they are talented. They're talented at putting on a fantastic show and looking after their fighters, looking after their staff, and yeah, just can't thank Connor and the team enough for kind of giving me the hospitality and the opportunity to come and cover one of their cards. But no, that's all we've got time for. Sorry if it felt a little bit rushed. I didn't mean for it to be that way, but I think I've kind of just rambled on for an hour or so. But yeah, I'll get this posted out tonight, and yeah, get all the fighters tagged in it. But if you've enjoyed it, obviously please drop us a like, comment, share it on your story. If I've spoke about you, clip it up, share it. It means a lot to me. And yeah, just obviously subscribe when you're at my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram. You'll get all tagged in it. So yeah, please follow me on Instagram. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Like I said, later on in the week, might have two fighter origins, but definitely got Nathan Fletcher coming on, so that'll be a brilliant episode. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that one. But no, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Thank you.